My name's Ian Harris. I'm the Executive General Manager for NetStarter, and I'm very pleased to welcome you all tonight to our first client event. Turn it up. Stand up. Is that better? Very white. Okay, good. So this is our first event of this kind. We've stood back and we've looked at it and we've thought, well, we've got a lot more value to add as part of our family than just building fantastic websites. So what we're thinking about is about how we can work with our partners and also with our customers to generate value for that whole community. And we're kind of trying to think about putting you guys in touch with each other to help you to kind of work out where are you going next. And this is the first in a series of that. So I hope you enjoy it. Tonight we've got the guys from ORO and the guys from Magento here to have a bit of a chat. But first I wanted to have a really brief kind of interlude on NetStarter, and over the last sort of 8 months we've had some massive change. So the acquisition by Salmat is really about building out Salmat's capability in the e-commerce space. So from a Salmat perspective, that's where I come from. And in our business, we had some awesome skills around Hybris. We needed to add some breadth to that, which is the Magento platform. And we looked at the NetStarter business as a great group of clients and a great group of people. So now we've got 103 people in Sri Lanka, another 40 or 50 sitting in our Sydney office. And that's a great group of people who are really committed to delivering for our clients. And from a Salmat perspective, we looked at that as a perfect kind of corollary to the rest of our product base around digital marketing and also the more traditional marketing channels that we've got. So that's probably the extent of it, and what I'd like to do now is I'd like to introduce Ryan and say thank you to everybody for coming along, and Ryan Mercer from Magento will come along and tell you a little bit about where Magento's at, and then we'll move on to the main event.
Hello everybody, so thanks for coming tonight, and I just want to extend a thank you to NetStarter for quarterbacking this event. These are gatherings that we really value. The Magento ecosystem overall, I've seen a lot of our partners here like Rackspace and SLI. It's great chatting with you guys. As most of you know, Australia is a very, very hot market for Magento. We have about 45% market share within Australia, which worldwide it's about 33%. So there's a lot of focus for us in this market, so it's great to see you all here. I'm sure there's a lot of customers here and people that are evaluating Magento as a potential platform as well. We have significant market share, and we're very proud of that, but we're also humbled. A lot of that success has stemmed from our partnerships with companies like NetStarter and other partners that are here as well. So the ecosystem as a whole. And that's really where our success stems, right? We have a great platform, but without the robust partnership that we have with a lot of these partners, from developers to search partners to hosting partners to solution partners, they all come together to bring together a very elegant solution that has proven itself in the market. Anywhere from small merchants up to some of the largest retailers in Australia. So it's a big market for us. We have a lot of focus here. As most of you know, we were acquired by eBay about 3 years back. In fact, Yoav, our co-founder of Magento, is here tonight, as you all know. Maybe if you give him a few drinks, he can share with you some of the details of that acquisition. But I go far back with these guys, with Jary and Yoav both. I started with Magento about 4 years ago, so I was their pre-acquisition. And Jary's actually the one that hired me. He's the co-founder of ORO. And we're good friends, and we have a lot of history together as well. Very excited about their solution. Yoav, one thing I can say about Yoav is that when I first started with Magento, he was our CTO at the time and co-founder. And he was constantly engaging with the sales team to find out what do the merchants want, what's the need in the market. And I was pleasantly surprised when I came on board to have somebody like that that's running our company that cares so much about our customers at the field level. So I'm very excited about their solution, and he'll come up and talk more about that. Just quickly on the Magento front. So we, looking back about a year and a half, we delivered on our 1.13 release, which was really around scalability and performance. We know that's important to merchants. We delivered on 1.14 just recently at our conference in Vegas, and that was really around responsive, around mobile. So we're still listening to the feedback of our merchants, trying to deliver our roadmap and our strategy based on what we're hearing in the market. And of course, Magento 2, which there's been a lot of chatter around that, as we all know. So we did at our conference in Vegas announce that the early beta release is going to come in later this year in Q4, and then GA should be Q4 of 2015. So we're very excited about that as well. We've put an enormous amount of resources and investment into training and certification. So we have, I don't know what the number is these days, but we have thousands of certified developers worldwide. In fact, NetStarter is one of our top partners with the most certified developers for front end and back end. So that's what we're trying to do. We really want to focus on quality and success of implementations. So there's been a big focus on that over the last few years, and hopefully with Magento 2, we're going to deliver an even better product. A few things. We are having some training. If anyone's here interested in some developer training, come late August. So we have some coupons if anyone's interested in attending that. And we're going to have the Magento Live conference, our second annual Magento Live conference in Sydney here in November. So hopefully most of you guys can attend that as well. Last year we had about 400 or 500 attendees, and this year we expect more. So hopefully we'll see you guys there soon. And that's it. I'll hand it over to Justin.
My name's Justin, for those of you that don't know me, and I head up the strategy and product team for NetStarter. My job is basically to identify the products that are going to help you guys sell more across all the different channels. And back now in 2009, when we first piloted Magento, I knew we wanted something good. It was an open source platform. It provided our customers with full ownership of their investment, their IP, and most importantly, you could configure it to accommodate your specific requirements. Within a very short period of time, we had built up the biggest team of certified developers worldwide. And we've sort of demonstrated that if you understand Magento and know how to execute it properly, there's not much you can't achieve using the platform. That said, it's important to understand that Magento is a very powerful cart system, but it's only a small part of the puzzle. And in my experience working with a lot of our customers, what we see, one of the biggest challenges for multi-channel retailers is this whole concept of a single customer view. It's how do you connect your store, your multiple stores with a website and all the different touch points and have a seamless experience across all the channels, merchandising, loyalty, customer engagement. Where's the source of truth of the data? Is it in the ERP? Is it in Magento? Is it in an Excel spreadsheet? And these are the problems that I guess a lot of our customers, I'm sure you guys are really familiar with. One of the things I'd say though is we might have the beginning of an answer for you guys tonight because we are in the presence of open source royalty with Mr. Yoav Kutner and Jary Carter here from ORO. Yoav was the co-founder and CTO of Magento. In a few short years, he built up the platform to a point where now it transacts over $25 billion annually and is the biggest e-commerce platform in the world. And Jary led the commercialization effort in Magento and really demonstrated that there was big demand for an open source product in an enterprise market. For me, when I heard the guys were leaving Magento back in 2012 after the eBay acquisition to build a multi-channel, an open source CRM specifically for multi-channel retailers, I knew something exciting and disruptive was on the cards and something I thought you guys would all be really interested in. And I'm pretty confident from what I've seen and what I've been playing around with it, it'll make a lot of sense for your businesses. So please join me in welcoming Yoav to share his story on Magento and what's happening with ORO.
Can everyone hear me? Yep. All right. So first of all, thank you for having me here. When I imagined my life a few years back, I wouldn't imagine that a life of traveling, seeing and meeting thousands of people around the world would come from a profession called computer scientist or developer. So I'm living a life of a rock star, but most of the time I'm behind a monitor. Thank you for having me here. It's my first time in Australia. So I think aside from Antarctica, I covered all the continents in the world, so that's great. So see you all at Meet Magento Antarctica, or and we'll see how cold it gets there. Just wanted to share with you a little bit the story of what brought us here and how Magento came about. And with a disclaimer, this is my version. If you ask other people, there's other founders, there's other people that came up with the idea. I'll give you my side of the story. If you like it, you can go with it. And if not, you can believe whichever one you want. So going back 2004, I was studying in UCLA. I met a person by the name of Roy Rubin. And he asked me if I want to come and work with him on doing some web development. And I told him, nah, web, I think it's a fad that won't stick. I want to do some real development, something that really works. And he said, well, okay, well, stay in touch. A few months later, I needed a job, so he offered it again, and we started working together. I found myself sitting in this, you talk in meters here, right? So 2 meters by 2 meters maintenance closet of this design company. Me and Roy sitting back to back, like, each on his own desk. And we were working. He was selling, I was building websites. And he used to keep on IMing me, like using instant messaging instead of talking to me. And I'm like, Roy, I'm right here, But actually it worked. So we used to talk a lot on IM. And slowly we started doing a lot more customized projects. We built intranets, we built CMSs, a lot of stuff that was going back in 2004 around web development. And slowly focused on e-commerce. We found that e-commerce, more and more companies that came to us asked us to do some e-commerce websites for them. And we started using a project or an open source solution called ORO CRM, which I'm sure a lot of you heard of. And if not, it's still around. It has a pretty big market share, actually. I think it's still there. And we started building these projects and getting very sophisticated at what we were doing. We, at one point, ended up having a customer that had 18 international websites, e-commerce websites running with a call center with 100 people working, attending it at any given point, and 25 point of sale system, traveling web-based point of sale system that we all built, custom built for them, starting from one OS Commerce store. So we started sharpening our tools. We understood that we know how to build e-commerce. And we started looking around for the next platform, something that will take us to the next level. What I want to say is that OS Commerce was an open source project, but it was led by a community. It was led by people that had no business drive to what they were doing. They were believing in building something, giving it out for free, but they were running it as such, meaning that they had no urgency in the way that they were developing. They had no commitment to a roadmap, that basically everything was a committee, everything took a long time. And we liked the idea of open source because the flexibility and what we could do with that. But we didn't like the fact that we couldn't build a business around it. As an SI, as a system integrator, we couldn't count on them to do something that we can come to our clients and tell them when the next version is coming out, when a roadmap item is going to be developed or delivered for them. So we actually had a hard time. And like many other companies back then, this is early 2006, we started looking for a different platform and ended up building our own. Or the idea came to mind that we should just build our own because we couldn't find any alternative. And I remember like December 2006, I walked into Roy and I said, okay, we had a great year. What do you think? Can we start working on our own platform? And he said, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. And then that's my version. I said, well, why don't we do it open source? And he said, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. What's the worst that can happen, right? Because what's the risk that we were doing? We were not trying to sell a product. We were not trying to make money off licenses back then. We were just trying to create a project for our customers to use, and the worst case scenario, other people would use it as well, and we would learn from them. And that's how we came up with the idea of creating something and delivering it under our open source license. I think the first time we thought we got the idea that we onto something is that when we launched our community website, we hadn't shown any line of code, we hadn't shown any screenshot. We just launched our community website. We got about 25,000 people within the first week signed up, which was amazing. This was like an amazing number for us. Given we had 10,000 people following us on our blog, et cetera, but still 25,000 people said that they need what we were building. We started thinking maybe there's something that we should rethink. Maybe we should look at it as a product. And we continued with the path. We developed the product as we needed it for ourselves. And then we started noticing that we're getting a lot of traction from Europe. We got more and more people. We actually had more than 50% of the community members that signed up that were European users. So we decided, okay, we're not going to build this solution only for ourselves, not only for the US. Maybe we should make it international. Lucky enough for us, we chose a framework called Zen Framework back then that allowed us to do this literally overnight. We changed a lot of the architecture. We changed support for multi-currency, et cetera, just to support this kind of international ability of the platform. And that was, I think, one of the biggest decisions we made then, because that allowed more and more companies, more and more people around the world to actually try the product. And it was just amazing how much traction we got around the world with that. So that was one of the best decisions. The second one that we did was we chose PHP, we chose Zen framework, and I know this might be a bit technical, but we started from that, and we really thought that this is going to be a good decision for us, not necessarily from technology point of view, but for marketing, because the fact was that everybody was talking about this new framework that is coming out, but nobody had a project that was done on that. Microsoft was talking about it, surprisingly enough. IBM was talking about it, but nobody proved the solution or built a project on that. So we came to Zen and we said, we're using your platform. Do you want to talk about us? And sure enough, they put us right in the smack in the middle between Microsoft and IBM. They put Magento is building a platform on the Zen framework. We got another 50,000 people just from that signing up for our community. So again, we did something right with that. So by that time, we had about 100,000 people just waiting for us to release something, and we still didn't show them anything. So we knew, okay, we really have something that we have like 100,000 people signed up and really want to see what we're doing. The pressure was on. So we started shifting our mindset. We started, okay, this is not only for us, this is not only for our customers, sorry. We're really building some product here. And we had to change the mindset of how do we become a product company from a services company? What's the difference? We, at that time, had customers. We knew that they pay us money. We do some work. We deliver to them. But we never had users that were far away from us, some in Europe, some in South America, some in Australia. We never knew how to work with so many people. And we just started listening to what people were saying. Me and Roy it was really ridiculous. We would sit like almost until midnight every day, just reading all the forum discussions, all the comments that people had, just absorbing all this information that people were talking about, trying to figure out what is the right solution to build that everybody can use. And it drove us crazy. So I think what we learned from that is that we will never please everybody. We just need to create something that is flexible, something that allows people to use it in the way that brings them not 100% of the way, but maybe 60, maybe 70% of the way, and then they can fill up the gaps. And I think that's one of the best decisions we made, because first, we were able to go to sleep at a reasonable time. But second, it's the idea that we can actually satisfy a lot of people by not completing 100% of what will make them happy, but bring them really, really close to where they could be happy with what they get from us. And I think, again, that was a very good lesson for us to learn. I also think that throughout this time, throughout our experience, but moreover, when we started hearing from the community, we heard and learned that no two businesses have the same request. That not two businesses need the same thing necessarily. And that's what we were offering them. We offered them a solution, again, that didn't do everything that they were expecting it to do on one hand, but on the other hand, allowed them to customize it, to make it more flexible, to work for what makes them successful. They don't have to change the way they work to work with the solution. The solution should adapt to the way they're working. And I think this is one of the strongest points when you talk about a flexible solution, an open solution. That's what it should do. It should allow a business to not change the way they run it. They should be able to adjust the product to how they run their business and stay successful. And I think that's the best idea and the best thing we actually came up with is, again, we want the business to come to us and tell them what they need, and we'll fill up the gaps. So as such, again, we adopted the idea of becoming a product company more and more, doing services, again, to learn what companies are actually using it and how it's being used, but started focusing on becoming a product company. Now, that was great, because by that time we started getting a lot of adoption, a lot of usage, but how do a company that knows how to charge per hour for services, how do you change the model? How do you make money off an open source free solution? So we had to start adjusting our thinking, and we started thinking about that, and we said, well, if we sell support, people will buy support. It's a mission critical application, everybody needs support, everybody will pay us, we'll be rich in a day, no problem. We can continue funding our project, and everybody will be happy with us. So we started selling support, and guess what? Nobody bought it, right? We were selling support, but nobody wanted it. Then the fact was, as much as it sounds ridiculous, the fact was that the product was too good. Most of the people that came to us with issues, with bugs, when we asked them, okay, do you want to buy our support plan and we'll fix your issue? They said, well, how much does it cost? And we were like, well, it's $1,000 for 5 tickets, blah, blah, blah. And they said, well, you know what, we'll just wait for your next release. We can survive. So we had to rethink that. And I'll just save you some of our different iterations on how to make money. But what did work for us in our example was the dual licensing model. And that came about, surprisingly enough, from the clients themselves. We started getting bigger and bigger brands using our product, sitting in meetings with us and telling us that they cannot use a free solution. It took us about 5 meetings to understand that we can actually charge for the product. Because we were like, it's open source, it's, you know, you take it for free, why would you pay us? But they had to pay us. Big companies tend to need to pay for the products that they're using, and that's great for both sides, right? They get whatever they need, contracts and warranties, etc., and we get paid. And that works. And it worked great. It worked actually better than we ever thought, and lucky enough, we had people like Jary join us and tell us how to build a sales organization and how to grow that and make it successful worldwide. And from this company, from a 2-people company sitting back to back in this small room, we grew within 4 or 5 years to about 400, 500 people. And it was like a family. It was growing daily. It was amazing. And we got a lot of really, really talented people to join us. The second one I can tell you is that also very frightening is my daughter comes to me one day and says, I was standing in the intersection and this guy pulled over. I'm like, oh my God, what did you do? Did you run away? And she's like, no, he asked for your number. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she says, well, I was wearing your Magento t-shirt and he asked if I know anybody that works at Magento, any developers. So again, those are indications that Magento was something that was starting to pick up even in LA. So that was great. Unfortunately or fortunately, fortunately, we got acquired by eBay. But unfortunately, I had to leave. And let me put all the rumors away. There was just a technicality on my contract. I really believe in this product. I think this product was great for what we did, and I think it has a lot of future ahead of it. But I had to leave the company and stop leading the project. But as such, I still wanted to stay around the ecosystem. So we created this small, very boutique company called MageCore. Just to stay around the ecosystem. We still meet with Magento. We still go there for conferences and meetings. But we work with some brands around the Magento platform just to prove the ability of the platform to scale, to work, and serve some of the bigger brands that are using it. So today I'm still working with the platform. I enjoy working with customers and with merchants. I think, again, meeting with a merchant for the first time, understanding how they're running the business, how to make them successful on our platform is what drives me and what is really, really interesting for me in working with this platform. We also, like it was mentioned, we started a new project, and let me just introduce it quickly and then let everybody go back to drinking. I know for me in my time zone, it's way past my time to go to sleep, so I'll try and keep it short. So after leaving, and I was very fortunate to be joined by Jary Carter and another person by the name of Dima Soroka, which was the lead architect on the Magento project from early on when we started. And we thought about what to do. And throughout the years at Magento, one of the things that we saw very close and parallel to what was happening in the e-commerce world was the CRM, the client relation management world. And we found the same thing, that there's no real flexible way of managing your customers. And there's really expensive solutions out there. There's also a lot of cheap solutions out there that are not very flexible. But there's no true open source flexible solution that allows you to build a way to manage your clients across multiple channels in a way that you run your business. So it sounds very familiar to what we did with e-commerce. And for years, we looked at that, and we thought, well, if we do another thing from the beginning, maybe CRM is something that we are going to touch on. And sure enough, we created a product called ORO CRM. It's, again, a free open source solution that you can build. It's very extremely flexible. I think we even made it more flexible than Magento. We learned a lot of stuff during the first time. I also want to say that we didn't finish there. There was one more thing that we built. We also built what we call the ORO platform. The ORO platform is what we call a business application platform that allows businesses to build custom business applications on top of this platform. And the idea is very simple. A lot of businesses, they need different applications to run their daily business. One of them is CRM, which we are building. But there are other ones, like even small ERPs, human resource management, ticketing management, etc. So any of those applications that are considered business applications can be built on our platform. And we already have examples of companies that are building that. We have a Kineo, which is a French company that's creating open source PIM, product information management. We have a company called Iltrino that's creating a ticketing system on top of this platform. And the nice thing is that I'll keep it simple, they talk to each other as well. So we can save a lot of time and money for businesses on integration, et cetera, if they use the platform and an application created on that. So that's what we're doing today, and we're here today and until Wednesday before we're heading off to Melbourne. Thank you for having me here. I hope that was interesting, and I will be even happy to answer some questions if anybody has. If not, we can go drinking. That's okay. All right, thank you very much.